and every day or at least alternate days, one day gap, one day we'll keep some review kind of thing. Like suppose we have class like 7:30 to 8:30, right? So around 15 minutes before the class, I will stop the topic, and 15 minutes I may extend it or something, so that every day half an hour you can go for the review if you have done something. If you have not done, then different story. But if you have done, then you can ping me that I have done something. Then parallelly, I will take a 5 minutes break after the class, and I will connect to those guys who have really done something. So project review will be individual meet. I think database services is stopped. Give me a minute. And no recording for the review and all, because that will be shared by you, your screen, not my screen. So no recording, nothing. Only topic what I will teach, that will be recorded. Okay. So let's create a Visual Studio solution as well. Usually, when you create any application, web application, you go to web, isn't it? So there is one option called service. If you go to service, in fact, in web also it will come, okay? But less filtration you can do by services. Only web services, WSF services, this kind of things only it will come here. So I said services. So somewhere definitely web API will come. ASP.NET, ASP Core web apps, okay, application. ASP Core Web API, this one we are looking for. This is something empty, you will decide later. This is MVC and all that. Where services and MVC can be also done. This is a WSF service. This is Angular related service, React related service. So these are all services. This is WSF service application. So we are going to Web API. Okay, .NET Core Web API, not .NET Framework Web API. So go to .NET Core Web API and then click on Next. Here you can say something. I will give you one first. I will give an example service. Then I will explain project, what is it, and then I will give the work in that. So should I say exact same thing what we have discussed last class? Like here we discussed a little bit about one example I gave, if you remember. Some travel agency is there, he wants to create one website, some Indian Railway or so on and so forth. So something like that we'll prepare. Okay. Acha, in this whole diagram, web API is which part? Left side part or right side part?
Right side part.
Like left side part is actual consumer. Maybe this consumer may be .NET project, this consumer may be PHP project, this consumer may be Java project, who cares? Currently, we are creating this one, right hand side. So currently, let's assume that we all are working for one organization who is providing the service. Okay, and we have to develop that service. Take it that way. Once this part is done, we will test it. There is something called Postman, okay, to test it. That also we'll see. If tested okay, then we will give that endpoint URL to anybody. Anybody is who? We only. Because you have to learn both, right? How to develop the service also and how to consume the service also. If you have to all-rounder, then you have to play the both roles. This time you are playing the role of service developer. Once tested, then you have to play the role of service consumer, right? So that way you have to plan. Now let me minimize this and do what is supposed to be done. So I'll just name it as something like railway reservation service. Some sound is coming. I'll just mute all of you. Give me a minute. If anybody has activated video, please deactivate it. I think I've opened SQL Server, right? Yeah. So this part focus. Which part? Right side part. Where is our diagram? I think I closed it. Let me open again. This part. Okay. So going here, and if you want, you can create repository layer, etc. here also. No problem. Absolutely fine. So go for one layer at least. Right click, add new project. This time it is a class library, not a service anymore. So library and class library with .NET Core, and I will do it as web API. No, I will name exactly like our necessity. It is a reservation oriented repository, so I will say reservation repository. All right, I will keep this so that so this will be our data access layer. Okay, and inside this we will create 2-3 more folders. One will be for repository, one will be for abstract, and one will be for models. Depends. Sometimes you may plan for one more layer. Model layer will be separate library, and this will be separate library. Depends. So currently, imagine we are working with 2-tier architecture. One is MVC layer, one is a repository layer. So here you go, create one function, just like we do in MVC. Class, and I will name it as something other than what you have taken as so far. So should I name it as RES service, reservation service repository. And in abstract, I will create an interface. RES service repository. All right. Everywhere by default it is giving internal. If you are working with multi-tier architecture, then you must do public. Otherwise it will not be available to other assembly. Okay, so made it public, and I implemented this also into repository. These things you know already. I don't think any problem you will face. Already in MVC you know all these things. Now here we will plan something. For example, suppose user says, go to this diagram every time you are planning something. It's open already. User says, I will send you one PNR number. You check the status in the database, your database, and give me back a reservation status. That become a service function. Or user will say, okay, one new user wants to book a ticket, he filled the form, he submitted, take all those data, save into your database, and finally return one error, information message saying that why your booking has been confirmed and this is your transaction ID, something like that. So some input, some output. So think this skeletal structure of the function as per your input and output. So imagine my input will be PNR number and my output should be, means my information should be something like, date of travel, PNR number, reservation status information, something like 2-3 information I want to return back. Then I have to prepare my model class accordingly. So I went to model and I create a model class called response information. Okay, I created a class called response information. Public. What response information? Now I'm giving you PNR number. I have one website, you have one service. So I gave you PNR number. You check in your database and give me back one object of response info. So in this response info, what should we keep? Some property, public, integer, or public string. Okay, I will keep it as, since it is not for DB set, so not necessary to keep one primary key or anything. I can say string. Here, response code I will take. Okay, get set. A response message I will take. Public string response message. Okay, get set. Like response code 1, response message reservation confirmed. Response code 2, response message becomes waiting list going on, something like that. Okay, you can plan anything. And one more I will put something like travel date. I will say date time, travel date, but I will say travel date get set. Or you can do one more thing also. Somebody says these two things will be necessary for every class, every response class. Then I can plan like this also. I can put a base class just like this. I can have a parent class. I will say response base. Absolutely fine. Response base. So this one also I will make public. Object-oriented programming, so nobody need to advise you. You are already masters. So put it here and then inherit it, so that no need to put in every response class that code and message. Specifically for this class, whatever extra thing you need, you just put it. So travel date I need PNR number, public string, PNR number. Then I may put something like public string RES, reservation. I'm writing short form RES, status get set. Absolutely fine. Now this is as per your view model. Response info is one of your view model. But now think about the table and your model class, because you are also using entity framework here, right? So table and model class also you have to think about. So here I will go and create one more folder. I will name it as entity models. Entity model is that model which is generating the table in your code first approach entity framework. So here I will put one class named as reservation or rail reservation something like that. Now this class, when you are preparing, you have to plan as per your actual table structure. That means in the table, what are all the information you want to keep. So this can be your DB set related entity class. So I will say table. Currently, I have given the name as rail reservation, but always I suggest your table name should be plural, right? So here I can say rail reservations, and inside this we can have proper primary key and other things. So should I say integer res id, reservation id, get set, and this one as a key, control dot primary key. Then we'll go for
Table name need to be corrected, sir.
sorry,
Plural. Table name.
S has to be added, yeah. So public, should we go for these two things have to come also here. Which one? This one. What is the travel date? What will the PNR number? What is the reservation status? Just take one example. In real case, it may be 10 different columns. I'm just taking 3-4 columns for example purpose. So this is my primary key, which will increment 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this is travel date, this is PNR number, and this is the reservation status, like that. If somebody says no, one PNR number can have multiple members also, then go for another class and put a list of that class here. Currently, I'm making it simple, business-wise, not making it much complicated, because our focus is to understand Web API. So I did something, that means some database communication infrastructure I prepared, right? So for communication purpose, either insert operation or delete operation or fetch and display operation, something you do, because every Web API methodology will take some input and give some output. That's it. So our main intention here is business logic may be anything. Currently we are planning, take the PNR number, give me back reservation status. Tomorrow it may be something else, doesn't matter. But tomorrow you have to practice today. Yeah. Which folder structure you have confusion?
This repository folder structure which we have created now. This
in CRUD operation also you have created same only, na? What is new here?
Okay.
If you go to CRUD operation, same only we have created, na? I don't think anything new we created. One repository, one model, one abstract, that's it.
Okay, yeah, and about that migration?
Migration I didn't create, it will create automatically. That means you have not practiced it in a single time. Entity framework migration, you have not practiced it in a single time. You are thinking this migration folder I created. It will automatically create when you are migrating. Today itself practice that hello world kind of example. After that CRUD operation, after that come to this. Okay. This question itself clarifies me. You have not at all checked also once to the video. Forget about video, you have kept your brain somewhere else and joining the class. Or you are not attending the class. Because migration, who creates, man?
No one creates that. Actually, in that repo model, one of the folder you have created in that in this
view models I created separately.
About this I wanted to ask.
What you want to ask?
For what this entity models has created, that I didn't get.
One is view model, one is model. If you want, you can folder also.
Hey, door close பண்ணு கத்திங்க செல்வி.
Kept inside the class, inside the folder. Just a segregation. If I will not have the folder also it's okay. That's not a hard and fast thing.
Okay.
After all, repository model will have all the view model and context class. Okay. This is all your own plan. You should know my repository model is having what things. Okay. So if you know what things, then that is enough. Folder creating or not creating, that is not mandatory. Okay. View model, context class. These things should be there inside the repository model, right? Whether you are creating 3 folder, keeping one each, or creating no folder, keeping all three in the main folder, that is totally yours. There is no restriction, nothing. Okay.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Kumar, you have any question?
Yes. This is regarding that identity framework which we done last week. So actually, I have. I mean, we are showing the data list, and we are having edit button in the all the rows. And
Okay.
when I click on the edit button, it's not redirect me to the edit page. I mean, the value is coming as 0. Can I share the screen?
Bit getting late. You can show me next class.
Yeah, sure. Because I could not get the data from.